Good morning, YouTube. Today, we're going to find out everything that's wrong with the 355 Project car.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
So are you recording all of the nefarious activities?
If you're new to the channel, my name is Dan. We are at Adam's Garage, and today we've got with us Josh from Exotic Power and Performance. Go check out his website, Exotic Power. Wait, no, it's exotic-power.com now.
There you go.
You moved it, and it screwed up my whole thing. Anyway, he works on a lot of cars. He's helped us out with a lot of cars. We are eternally grateful to Josh.
You buy a lot of cars that need a lot of fixing, so
True,
it's
true
good
story.
for me.
I keep you employed.
You do. You do.
Well, today you're going to use your expertise, I hope, and we're going to try and figure out everything wrong with this car, which we know it needs the major, but we think there's, well, obviously there's other things going wrong with it, and also just really cool. There is a stick bug on this car, and I just had to point that out because it's really cool. But anyway, also don't forget to go visit normalguysupercar.com. There you can buy supercar parts and accessories. Use the code NGS10, it'll save you 10%. And one last thing, this video series of us working on this 355 is sponsored by Ricambi America. So go to ricambiamerica.com. You can use the code NGS10. I think it hooks you up with 10% once you spend at least $100. I'm not entirely sure. They changed the whole NGS10 thing on you. But anyway, this right here is awesome. This is a 355 major kit. It has everything we need to do a basic major on this. So it has the timing belts, tensioners, all that stuff. Now here's the catch. Once Josh kind of looks into this car, we're assuming there's going to be other things that are wrong with it, but that is exactly where we need to start. So it's kind of like that is position 0, and we're going to get to position 1 very soon, and then order more parts.
We're going to define this as a cam belt service.
Yes.
And a major service.
I like that, yeah.
That is a nice, complete parts package kit for a cam belt service.
Yes.
And then we're going to find all the other stuff you need to order.
And I would
from
even
Ricambi.
say that's like a pretty good cam belt service versus like a belt slap.
Yep.
Because it's got some extra goodies.
Belt slap literally means coolant, oil, brake fluid, cam belts out the door.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe spark plugs, probably not.
And so when you guys go online and you see the quote-unquote major service for like $3,000 to $5,000, you're probably getting a cam belt slap.
You are definitely, hopefully, just getting a cam belt slap. You might just get a piece of paper that says it was done.
Yeah,
Seen that a couple of times.
So that was one thing that we got into a whole bunch of a tiff with other people on the interwebs, is we said, hey, these major services can easily cost $20,000+, even $25,000. We have proof of that. We've seen receipts in excess of $25,000.
Insert the video clip where I read off the list of things that you're supposed to do on a 348 while doing a major service.
Yeah, right here.
Change the engine oil and filter. Check the gearbox oil level. Check the tension of your alternator and AC belts. Change it every tube. Check the spark plugs and replace if necessary.
And so that's the thing, is if they've been maintaining the car well, it's entirely possible that you're going to pull out the engine and it's not going to need a whole lot of stuff. However, if the car has not been being taken care of really well, you're going to pull out the engine and find out it needs a whole lot of stuff. And before you even do that, arguably this is what you want, is you want someone like Josh who has the expertise to go in there before we start taking all apart stuff. He's going to be able to plug in his computers and say, hey, here are all the sensors that we know are messed up. So that's going to help you out a lot. And that's going to be able to help us save a bunch of time and frustration later. So let's have at it.
Unlike Timmy's car, where we did not do an evaluation before taking the engine out to do a major service, and then after we put it together, we went through all the electronics and fixed them so it ran right. We're going to do this one the other way. So that's kind of the purpose. Is I like 355s. They're good cars. They run well. They're fun to drive. We know of a couple that run and drive all the time and have very few issues. Mr. Bowen.
Oh, yeah.
So it is possible to just enjoy these cars. Unfortunately, it seems there's like 3 guys in this country that know how to service a 355 properly, and 1.5 guys that actually have the budget to pay those 3 guys to do it properly. So 9.8 out of 10 of these cars are shit boxes, and it's nobody's fault but your own. And we're going to show you why. This is how you do a major service, especially on a 355. Done.
If you guys haven't heard this thing run already, it's running terribly. It got incomplete combustion. You could smell the raw fuel coming out. It barely was running. It went into limp mode when the owner was driving it out of storage. So my suspicion is while it sat there in storage, something fell apart, which is super common. When these cars sit for a long time, that's like the worst thing can do for them. So it had sat for many months, and then he started up and tried to drive it home, and well, the car had other ideas.
Well, you didn't tell me it was that f***ed up. I didn't bring all of my tools from the shop, just 8 out of 10 of them. Son of a bitch.
All right, well, should we fire it up for you so you can hear how bad it is? Or?
Let's plug the computer in first,
Okay.
so we can do it all at once. We're gonna pull the plugs and do a compression and leak down and some other
okay.
stuff. Yeah, because that's how you service a 355.
Good.
So we don't want to run it for too long and get it too hot.
Get it hot.
Yeah, we want to warm it up before you do compression and leak down, and we want to check some parameters, but we don't want it smoking hot. So
Gotcha.
we're going to try to be pretty time sensitive with that process.
So this car is a 96, which means we actually do have the OBD port. So he's going to try and get the OBD stuff set up so he can read what's wrong with this car. So I believe the law was every car made after 96, it has to be OBD, right?
After 95.
After 95, so all
Yep.
96s and later.
Correct.
Yes, so that confirms the year of this car. That is actually a 96.
Yeah, February of 96 is the build date.
Oh, okay.
So
Oh,
it's
really?
an early 96.
Oh, okay, it's right there in the dash plate. Yep.
Yep.
Oh, this is early 96.
Yeah, so there's 2 ECU hookups, right? These cars, like most of the Ferraris, will still have the direct to ECU connection, the 2-pin connector here behind, directly at the ECU. You'll still have that, but for standardized emissions testing and diagnostics as per US federal law, you also have the OBD2 connector there. So
Okay.
sometimes the way they wired them, they skipped a ground pin, and the computers don't always like that. So sometimes you have some connectivity issues until you add an additional ground pin. We'll try on the OBD2 port and see if this one wants to cooperate. If it does, that's what we'll use. And if it doesn't, I'm not going to rewire the connector today. We'll just pop the cover off and go straight to the 2-pin back here, because all we're really looking at is the engine computer today.
Okay. Well, step one for these majors is pretty much to get that stupid bonnet lid out of the way if you're going to be British. Well, considering we're going to be checking the compression and squeezing down in there, might as well do that right away. All right, so we're just going to do a basic fault scan first just to make sure, I guess, right?
Donde es el llaves?
Oh, the keys. He's trying to steal them from you. Oh, God. Never throw them over the paint.
Only add it.
Yeah, only at it. Jeez. Well, I mean, with all of our skills, you throw it at the paint, it'll definitely miss. Throw it near the paint, it'll hit. Got your cool computer talking to the car, maybe?
Well, it's considering it.
It's thinking about talking to the car.
We'll
it's like,
see.
do you really want to talk to this car? I'm not sure about that.
I mean, I don't mind talking to it. It's the customer that usually doesn't like the conversation the cars and I have.
True.
Okay.
Oh, here we go. That's a lot of stuff.
Holy moly.
Well, it looks like we have a bad O2 sensor on the left bank. Oh, battery voltage over. Okay. Signal not valid on water temperatures. That's probably the temperature sender's screwed, right?
Could be. Maybe there's a wiring problem in the car. Who knows? People do weird things to these cars, and when they sit and the batteries go dead, they do some weird stuff.
Oh.
So what we're gonna do is save all of this. Now that we've saved all of that, we'll go ahead and just clear all of that, because it's nice to see what comes back.
Okay.
Yep, key off.
Key off. Cool.
So now we'll go here to parameters. Go ahead, hit it.
Started it.
Come on, feel the noise.
Girls, rock your boys.
Ferraris emit hydrocarbons.
Whoa. What was that?
That's the starter.
All right, let's see what comes back. No check engine lights yet? Nope. That's amazing. Well, it just hasn't run long enough. Yeah, you can hear it's not running super great. God, those secondary airs are loud.
This thing sounds like dog shit. Your car's bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, injection timing's super high. You see it's not even refreshing at a good rate.
There goes the secondary air, thank God. Ooh.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do some mechanical evaluations. Well, not mechanical, but manual evaluations for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Might as well do the compression and leak down test now that it's warm.
Okay.
We'll do that next, and then we'll open up the ECU and get to the harness and start pinning out all the engine sensors. See what we can find pins out incorrectly. Because we had some lambda sensor faults, we had a water temperature sensor fault, we had a few things. Some of those could be a reaction, right? Because if it's running too rich and it's obviously not running right, then a bunch of stuff's going to be reading values out of specification. You can't really say everything we saw as a fault is an actual physical problem, because some of it might be a reaction.
Right. Something else is wrong. It caused those things to show up as failures.
Yep. Like lambda sensor values, faults, it's not always just a bad lambda sensor. If there's something else bad and it's causing it to run excessively rich and it can't compensate and adjust, the logic in the software might compute that as a lambda sensor problem, because it's trying to process the lambda sensor information and then make a correction, and then the motor's not reacting, so the computer logically thinks, oh, we have a lambda sensor problem. But it's not. You've got a bad coolant temp sensor that's forcing it full rich, and it can't compensate with lambda sensor values, so you can get some cascading things there. So you don't want to just assume that all those faults mean all those sensors need to be replaced. So we'll want to go through the engine management system and pin out each and every sensor and see if anything is very clearly not within electrical specification.
You have 309. I have more torque than you.
Yeah.
This has
You got a turbocharged tractor engine.
I'm glad I recorded that.
Who the f else use a horizontally opposed 6-cylinder?
all the awesome people.
No. The Germans.
This.
What the actual Adam?
I'm gonna try and filter through the current conversation to describe what we're working on here. All right, so there is a
We're working on a desperate re-education of a confused young man.
Yeah, there is
Scared straight. Normal guy edition.
Oh man, so there is a cover right in there, on top of the valve covers, that covers all the wires into the spark plugs. So we're just pulling that off so we get access to the spark plugs so we can do a compression check. Which on these 355s is really important because, as you may or may not know, they have a valve guide issue where the valve guides were made of brass, I believe, if I'm correct.
They were a high copper content bronze.
Bronze copper content. Okay, yeah, but they wear out, and so a lot of people have taken the time to pull off the heads and get them replaced with more modern solutions, which is a kind of more permanent thing. But if that hasn't been done, it kind of needs to get done on these cars, because otherwise it will have the valve guides wear out and you'll have some oil consumption, low compression, and all sorts of fun problems.
Actually, this is where it gets interesting.
Oh yes.
Once you've hit low compression, you're like super f***ed. You'll get excessive compression.
What?
The oil leakage through the valve guide is extreme enough that it overwets the cylinder ring, the piston rings.
Oh no way.
So
you get
every
no
other
blow-by?
No blow-by. Instead of having 190 psi of compression like you have on all the other cylinders, and I found it's really super common for it to be cylinders 6 and 4 because the way the breather system works, I think, you'll have like 220 pounds of compression.
Wow.
On like those two cylinders, and the rest will be like 190-ish. When you go past that point, and now you have less, like the motor's wrecked. Like now you've had fuel washing out the cylinders and all that. But yeah, the first clue is the fact they have excessively high compression.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense. I would have never thought about that. But
No, but yeah, for common knowledge, that sounds counterintuitive. But
yeah. Someone's gonna be like, "Hey, check that out! I got 2 cylinders that are really awesome."
yeah,
If it's
not
like-
so much.
It's the other way around.
Yeah,
This is why Josh is worth his hourly rate. For knowledge like that.
of $350 an hour. Don't worry, your bill's in the mail, Adam.
I say the more you bitch, the more the rate goes up, right?
It might just go up because it's Wednesday.
I hate Wednesdays.
Damn, those Wednesdays. Never send your car to Josh on a Wednesday.
Fucking hump day. I've had 2 days to be irritated by Wednesday.
He gives hump day a whole new meaning. He means he's f***ing you on Wednesday.
Just to document it, that is a chunk of paint
Do you have
missing.
like little private?
So those wires look like they're garbage.
And I don't know about you, but
Sparkly wires don't last that long.
see that discoloration right there?
Yeah.
That's the spark escaping and discoloring. It's arcing on the outside there. Discoloration on that one there too from some arcing.
It's crazy that the spark comes all the way out that way.
Yeah, well, you got to think there's 8 to 20,000 volts
Yeah.
trying to travel through this little guy. And as you can see, the way they're tucked into the aluminum cylinder head, it's really easy for it to want to bridge the gap between the core inside and the aluminum head. So this little bit of rubber and plastic is all that keeping the electricity trapped inside the core of the wire. It's pretty easy for 8 to 20,000 volts to find a new exit strategy.
Oh,
there you
wow,
go.
you can
Whoa, you can see the wire.
Yeah,
Yeah. Even YouTube can see that one's misfiring. You're now certified Ferrari diagnostician.
Tell you
that
that
looks
one.
like your Uncle Freddy's undies after Saturday afternoon and a 30-pack of Bud Light and 2 brisket tacos.
That was oddly specific.
I know, right? How'd you know about my Uncle Freddie and his problem?
I wish I had this recording YouTube because Josh was just a little bit humble right there. Not very humble, but a little.
Shut up, Adam.
He doesn't like that. That's like straight in the no zone.
He doesn't want anybody to know that he has a soul.
I have a soul. It's buried deep beneath this broken 8-cylinder engine.
This is why I like wrenching on cars.
For the small invoice of $30,000, you too can see my soul bared. Here are some of the different colors that spark plug electrodes can be. For those not terribly familiar, that's pretty close to an appropriate color. These are various shades of completely inappropriate. So one of the things to realize about smell and engine performance, right? So when you say it smells rich,
Yeah.
what you're actually smelling, you're not technically wrong.
It's incomplete.
It's incomplete,
Yeah.
right? So if we put a lambda probe on it, it's going to read lean, even though we're smelling the raw fuel, because
Right.
there's incomplete combustion due to misfires.
That
So
one.
you're getting raw fuel rolling out the tailpipe unburned.
These two are bad, right? Well, no, that one's
Yeah, those two are. That one's not good. That one's
slightly
almost
white,
acceptable.
which is too hot, right?
Yep, hot lean.
So that one's lean. That one looks good,
Eh,
ish.
yeah, that one I'm all right with. That one I don't like. These two I'd call f***ed.
Is that the technical term?
You're not paying me enough for the technical term. You get the abbreviated version.
This one's got some electrode corrosion though.
Sure does.
So even that one's bad. So they're all bad.
They're all bad. It
Okay.
needs wires, it needs plugs. So they took a big wad of silicone RTV and filled the cavity here where the plug wires go through, because it has a little seal to help kind of keep water from out in here. You get this, right? Wire separator seal to go between the cylinder head and that cute little top cover. But some geniuses slathered the wires in RTV silicone.
That's awesome.
And being that it's white makes me think that it was done at a dealership, because most aftermarket shops don't use the white silicone. That was what the Ferrari factory used, so I expect this was done at a dealer.
Everyone thinks the Ferrari dealerships are all like doing it by the book. They're not. They're doing.
Putting white RTV in there.
They're trying to make as much
probably-
money as they can.
There's probably 4 f***ing dealerships in this country that have a senior level guy that is legit and really knows what he's doing. So you think of the odds of that one guy being the guy to work on your car as opposed to the 150 20-something-year-old kids that just got out of tech school and are excited to be working on Ferraris and making f***ing bottom dollar and getting yelled at because they're not producing enough billable hours in a day because they're learning how to put their pants on, let alone how to fix a Ferrari. The dealership service departments really exist to keep the sales department rolling, right? Bring cars in, get cars prepped to go into the showroom, make sure the license plate's installed for the new customer because the salesman doesn't know how to use a screwdriver, do your oil changes, do your warranty repairs, That's really all that dealership service department exists for. It's not really there for actually providing real service work, especially on classic model cars. Oh, I've been asked to do that. Oh, can we just replace the two for the cylinders that are misfiring right now?
No, we're gonna replace them all.
Well, a lot of times Ferrari only sells wires as a total set anyway, so unless you want to build your own f***ing wire set, it doesn't matter because you're buying them all anyway. That's why nobody does them, because it's like $1,000 for the set of spark plug wires.
Yeah, I'd say their wires are expensive.
They are. When they're like this, where they don't want, oh, there you go. You're buying that one.
Yep.
That one didn't want to come out. There's a good one.
Oh, I can see it from across the
Whoa.
other side of the car.
But hey, don't worry, all that RTV there at the seal will help
It holds
fix
in
your
the
misfire.
electricity.
Yeah.
So already we can show you that this is not gonna be a basic belt slap. Yeah, we're not gonna be, you know, just slapping belts on this thing. We kind of anticipated that there was to be other stuff wrong, but
Yeah, the only other bummer here I was hoping to do is I brought my vacuum gauges so we could do a vacuum check, because on 355s they have a vacuum access port, because this is an individual throttle body engine, right?
Yeah.
So there's little ports down here that you crack open and you put a vacuum gauge on to balance all 8 cylinders. Usually what I like to do is put the vacuum gauge on, and you can gauge by how much the needle fluctuates if you've got good cylinders or not. And I've had ones like this car where the needle pegs from one pin to the other on the gauge quite rapidly because the valve guides are blown. So the valve is jumping around.
yeah.
So the pressure pulse through the intake is super uncontrolled and erratic. So I was hoping to do a test on this, but since the spark plug wires had never been changed and half
we
of them
can't
are
run 'em.
burned out.
Yeah, we ain't running this thing in a while.
Yeah, this one's for you, Richard.
Richard.
Yeah.
Wow, what happened to Richard?
When his 458 ignition coil separated, one of the ignition coils broke. So that it's not supposed to look like that. Josh had to literally sit on the engine and use
Oh, I
two
remember
arms.
that.
That was impressive. Oh. What? Oh!
Yahtzee.
Yahtzee!
That one's for
And
you,
people are
bud.
all like, don't put dielectric grease on that stuff. I'm like, what are you talking?
Yeah, that might be one of the few situations where that might save you some hassle down the road.
I never understood why people have this like opposition to dielectric grease. It's like they're like, oh, it can interfere with it. I'm like, yeah, if you like go and like put half a bottle in there.
The thing I've been told by old timers on cars about dielectric grease is obviously most people don't know what they're doing and they don't know how to use stuff properly. You put it in and you don't do it right, so moisture gets in there anyway, and now the dielectric grease makes sure the moisture stays there
in there
forever.
and rots it all
Yeah,
out.
it never gets a chance to evaporate and go away. It's just like soldering, right? Like I've had old school guys tell me never solder electrical connections. And it's not that soldering electrical connections is terrible, it's that if you're an idiot and you don't understand how to solder properly, you can do more harm than good.
All right, well, at least so far, right bank is
Better than the left. Or
marginally
at least-
better.
At least more consistent than the left.
Yeah, more consistent. There we go.
Oh,
there
that
we go.
That one's not making the cut. Sorry. All right, which cylinder are we on?
Cylinder one.
Cylinder
We
one.
disconnected the main connectors to each of the ignition coils down here, so there's no more supply from the fuse box. And we went into the fuse box and pulled the fuse for the fuel pump as well.
Yeah.
So there's no live fuel in ignition. Usually it's good to put a power supply on the battery to make sure the battery doesn't go low. But we should be all right. So.
Okay.
All right, go ahead. One of the things about compression tests, the very first pump, you should get about 50 pounds, like
Yeah.
right away. And the needle should hold steady. It shouldn't drop off, and then it will, kind of climb consistently up.
All right, here we go.
Go for it. I'm gonna say that that's not great.
It's not great. It's below 150.
145.
145. All right.
Yeah, this should be like 190s.
We've got 145, 150, 170.
Yep.
Not so great.
No, the 10% delta has already been exceeded.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, Adam. $165.
165.
We're on cylinder number 6 right now, and we have 200.
200.
So what was that we were talking about earlier, Dan? Recap for our faithful watchers.
So basically the oil is washing into the cylinder, causing the rings to seal up too good.
Correct. Now what cylinders do we anticipate that was likely to show up on?
Number 6?
4 and 6.
Yeah, we're on number 6.
It's almost like we know what you're talking about.
It's almost like I've worked on at least 3 of these cars.
Okay,
So as of right now, we've got
200.
145 and 150 PSI compression on the cylinders 1 and 2. We've got 170-ish on 3 and 4, which is, you know, kind of acceptable. We got 165 on 5, which we'll consider acceptable. And now we got 200 on cylinder 6, which we already know from our experience that means valve guides are definitely worn and there's definitely been excessive oil leakage and those rings are extra wet and extra sealed. And that is an excessive amount of compression, especially compared to so far every other cylinder. You remember we were saying about 50 PSI is the first jump,
Yeah.
which we've seen. Even on the low cylinders, we got 50 PSI on the
Yep.
first jump. That cylinder pulled about a 70 to 80 PSI jump on the first hit.
Wow.
So we already knew right there.
That one also had one of the discolored plugs.
Yep. All right, cylinder 7, go ahead, Adam.
Whoa. Almost 200. 190? 195?
Yeah, 190 is good enough.
Jesus.
$180.
There's our numbers. 145, 150, 170, 165, 165, 200, 195, and 180. Sweet. So we're just debating or discussing.
Oh, and we haven't even looked at the exhaust manifolds yet because
Oh,
they're
yeah.
still on the motor.
So I do know that those have been replaced twice.
They do look like they're fairly new heat
And I think the
shields.
last ones were replaced fairly low miles ago. They were many years ago, but I think it was fairly low miles.
I'm not surprised that I don't see any
they
browning
look
on
to
the
be
heat
in
shield.
really okay shape.
Yeah,
from the
they
the
look pretty
external.
fresh.
We're discussing what's the right thing to do here because we clearly, it needs valve guides. So that means pulling off the heads. And the goal of this was to like get the car ready to sell. So we have to call the owner and see if he's willing to cough up that much dough. The secondary question of that is whether or not to pull apart the bottom end to replace the piston rings, because the piston rings may be already screwed up, which that takes and probably adds, I'm going to guess, another 15.
It doubles.
Well, I was going to say, just in parts, probably 1,500, $2,000 in parts right there.
Yeah, between the bearing sets, the gasket set, and at least one
Oh yeah,
ring
those head
set.
gaskets alone are expensive.
Yep. And then if the cylinder liner is ovalized because it's been hammered with the oil going through it and stuff, then you're putting a new cylinder liner in it too.
So yeah,
So
fun.
F-chat, when you say that $20,000 majors aren't a thing, $30,000 majors aren't a thing, you're wrong.
Well, no, they're right. The major's only 10 grand. It's the other 15's rebuilding the fucking motor while you're in there.
Yeah.
While you're in there.
Oh lordy. Okay, well, this is awesome. Hey, this proves the point though that if you're gonna have a major done, or if you're gonna buy one of these used, the whole PPI on Ferrari things is so important on cars like this. You need to have a PPI done to have someone like him do a compression check, because right there you would be able to say like, okay, now I know what this car needs. This car needs valve guides, and you can calculate that in. It's not to say that this car is bad, and it's not to say you wouldn't necessarily want to buy this car. It's just to say this is how much money it's going to cost to get this car correct, because you probably would not want to continue to drive this car in its current state. It would be risking the engine at some point.
It's gonna run like shit,
And it's gonna
gonna smoke, and you're gonna get check engine lights, and it's
Right.
just gonna be a pain in the ass. You're gonna
Right.
be chasing ghost problems because the engine itself isn't in good shape. Could we do a belt slap service on this and kick it out the door and run it for another 5 years? Yeah, sure, you could, but it's gonna be a difficult car.
Yeah, it's to always have something going wrong.
Yep,
And then it's going to perpetuate the myth of the 355.
yep.
All right, YouTube, we have an interesting game that we're going to play, and we're going to do a giveaway. So here's the scoop. As you know, when we work on these cars, it's inevitable that we're going to end up hurting ourselves or doing things or breaking something or whatever, and then swearing.
God damn it, Dan, what the fuck?
And then that means I have to quack out the F word. So I don't quack out shit. I don't consider shit personally to be a swear word. I think it's literally poop, so it's just not a swear word. But I get it. F is a swear word. We're going to quack it out. So during the entire series, which we have no idea how long it's going to be, how many videos, so we just want you to guess how many quacks we're going to accumulate during the entire thing. And if you get the closest number, we're going to give you a free t-shirt.
Without going over.
No, just closest number.
Oh, we gotta do it Bob Barker, Price is Right style.
Fine. Closest number without going over gets a free t-shirt. For the whole, this is the whole thing. So it could be 10 videos, 15 videos, I have no idea.
2 videos?
2 videos, we don't know. So you have to put a comment in this video, okay? It has to be in this video. So when everything's done, before I release the final video, I'm gonna count the numbers and see who's got the right comment. So you have to comment in this video. This is gonna be like video number 1 of the series, okay? So that's how we're gonna do it.